On this episode of the Who Is This podcast, brought to you by Double R Communications and Sierra Pacific Mortgage of the Gila Valley, Davis and I had an awesome conversation with Shane Britt. Shane is a contractor here in town. He has his hands in a lot of things. He's an entrepreneur through and through, and he is the perfect example of if you're willing to work hard enough and kind of put yourself out there, a lot of your dreams can come true. Shane shares his story about the band that he is with, the Coal Trains, and kind of how that whole thing came together for him and the band. A super cool story. I really enjoyed listening to it. So we talk about that. We talk about his newest album. That it's a solo album that he just came out with called 10 Square Miles. And yeah, it was just a really good conversation. We really enjoyed it, and we hope you enjoy it as well. But yeah, no worries, dude. I mean, trust me, this is a very laid back type of thing.
I saw the cameras. I was like, I would have put a polo on.
No,
jeans
dude,
or something.
No, you're good, man. But yeah, welcome to the Who Is This podcast.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, this is super cool.
It's a lot of fun. We've had a lot of really cool guests. Honestly, the guests are who make the podcast.
I think I've listened to all. I've been walking a ton in the mornings. I think I've listened to almost all of them.
Really?
Night and day to when you guys did what you're doing now to now.
It's so
the
much
audio
better now.
Listening to Reed talk about it is
Yeah.
so funny because that's just him. We worked with him with music stuff for years, and he's super finicky about mics and sound and all that kind of stuff.
I just picture Reed listening to it before and like twitching in the corner because it sounds so bad.
Well, he even said he wasn't shy about telling us how bad it was.
Right. But he's as good as they come. So actually, when things were blowing up for us music-wise, they asked us to come be on the news. And I asked a bunch of questions about, like, is this live sound? What's the sound? And we brought Reed with us.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I think he told us about that.
He mixed us so he went into, I don't know what they call it, like the control room at the news station to hear what was coming out. So what would be going on to the televisions. And he mixed it to that rather than being in the room with us. So he made us sound a lot cooler than
that's the last thing you want is go play on the news and it just sound garbage because the sound quality.
Well, and if you ever watch live music, especially prior to probably the last 5 or 6 years, live music, the sound always sucked because they're just picking it up in a room.
Yeah.
And so he went with us and insisted on a certain kind of gear and amount of gear. So we actually loaded it out of it was mostly his stuff other than our instruments and amps. And he set it up just like he was going to do a show just to give us the best quality that we could get. So,
yeah.
That's awesome. What news station was that on?
Whatever the big one is in Phoenix, News 3 or Channel 5 or something like that.
How long ago was that? Was that your first album that you guys released or?
2019, that's when the big one came out, Lucky Stars.
Yeah.
So it was all the PR with all of that.
Yeah.
It was 2019. Whatever the Good Morning Arizona.
Yeah.
That whole thing.
Yeah.
So it was super cool.
That is cool. So yeah, we jumped right into it. But yeah, tell us about.
I was gonna say, I'm not that interesting of a person. So you guys ask me questions, and I'll talk about anything you want to talk about.
Well, that's so.
Got my hand in so many different things.
Yeah. So I think a lot of people know, Shane Britt, know your band and everything. But what we like to do is to give you a chance to tell people what maybe they don't know about you. Like, tell us a little bit, like, where are you from?
Okay.
It's kind of your story and how you got into doing music. And obviously, you do construction. You do a lot of different stuff.
Right.
But so whatever you feel like you want to share.
So it's not a specific. It's not a construction podcast.
Dude,
it's a music podcast.
We've had so many. I mean, we've had Zaylee Windsor was on it.
Yeah,
she was our seventh guest. We've had entrepreneurs. We've had a construction person on it. Seth Carlson has done it.
See, I didn't hear Seth. I listened to my favorite one that I've heard so far was Mitchell. My dad knows him. I don't know him, but it was fun hearing his process on the gym and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So honestly, you kind of cross off a lot of those different boxes. So just kind of tell us.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was born in Waco, Texas. We moved here in 1989. I think I was in 3rd grade, and just kind of bounced back and forth. When I say back and forth, I didn't move back and forth. Our whole family was still in Texas, so we spent every holiday, every summer
Gotcha.
we went back
visiting
home.
and
Right.
yeah.
So I spent my summers in Texas. I spent Christmas, Thanksgiving.
What brought you to the Safford area from
My
Waco?
dad took a job for a construction company that doesn't exist anymore, and they did all the maintenance at the mine.
Okay.
So we moved here. My mom's a school teacher. And then he worked for a company. I don't remember the name of the company, as bad as that is. But basically, like, Jay's Construction has the maintenance up at Morenci. This is back when I was Phelps Dodge. My dad ran that company that they did the fences. They did all the roofing. It's all maintenance stuff. So we moved out here for that job. And I moved back to Texas my junior year. I really wanted to go to Texas A&M, and my parents didn't have the money to send me to an out-of-state college. So the plan was I was going to live with my aunt and uncle, go to high school my senior year in a little town outside of Waco, and then I would have residency. So A&M was super cheap if you were a Texas resident. And when I moved, it was real cool and fun and everything. But as the school year started and everything got fired up, everybody, like, all the senior things were happening. And so I'm this, like, new kid in this whole group of people that have grown up together. And I made friends and I had fun, but all my friends were doing those same things here.
Right.
And I just wasn't ready to be gone from home. Like, I was basically an adult. My aunt and uncle, my cousin was rodeoed and she was in volleyball. And so I was basically just by myself.
Because they were always traveling with her. Yeah.
And so Thanksgiving weekend, I moved back home and then graduated with all my friends. I'm glad I did that because there was all kinds of memories, and my grades probably weren't good enough to get me into A&M anyway. So it was a nice thought. And then come to find out college wasn't my jam anyway. So
Okay.
That's how we ended up here. And then I graduated high school, went straight to 13th grade at EAC. Like,
There you go.
everybody else.
Like everybody else, yeah.
And it's kind of a funny story. That's where my love affair with golf started. Was I had never swung a golf club. I thought golf was dumb. People that played it were lame. But like senior year is when Tiger Woods was kind of starting to exist. And now these younger guys, like, I had friends that actually were into golf. Because when I was like 16, 17, 18, golf was an old man's sport. They wore slacks and they were dressed up and they smoked cigars, and it was just an old man's sport.
Yeah.
And we lived out south of town on Artesia Road, and my classes were laid out where it was a horrible schedule, but I had like 2 hours between classes 2 different times during the day.
Yeah.
And my buddy's dad let me, I don't even know if he gave them to me or let me borrow them. I think he gave them to me, but it was just an old Kmart set of left-handed golf clubs. And he's like, you just need to go out to the driving range and hit golf balls, like, between classes.
Just something to do, yeah.
And so hitting golf balls turned into being obsessed with learning the game. And then I found out that, like, they had a student pass. It was like $110 for the year. You couldn't ride, but that was all the golf balls you could hit, all you wanted to play. And so slowly it just became where I didn't want to tell my parents that I wasn't going to school anymore because I was living at home and they had paid for books and tuition and everything.
Yeah.
So I would get up in the morning like I was going to go to school, and I was walking like 36 plus holes a day on the golf course.
That's hilarious.
And not going to school.
Well, you had to keep your status active so you didn't lose that $110 deal.
Which is funny
you got
because
your
my
money's
parents
worth,
could have
right?
cared less
after
it was all said and done. But I worked a ton and played golf, and then I took off shortly after that. I think I was 19, and I bought a one-way ticket. I had a girlfriend here, and I was working a bunch. I wasn't going to college anymore. I was just working. And I had a girlfriend, and I was renting this place from my mom and dad, and my buddies lived with me, and I hated it. Like, I felt like a failure. Like, I was like, I'm not going to college. I'm working. We party all the time at our house. Like, I'm turning into those people that I made fun of when I was in high school.
Right.
Because, like, what are you doing with your life? And so I was working. Well, O'Reilly's used to be Checker Auto Parts. So I worked there all through high school, like the end of high school. I was a cook at El Charro, and I worked at Checker Auto Parts. And I went to work one day, and I couldn't stand my girlfriend And I didn't have the guts to break up with her. Wasn't sure that I could do any better. You know how at least you may not know, but that's how I felt. And I went into the break room to get something, and it was like a flyer that said Checker goes to Hawaii. And there was like a whole thing about they were opening the very first auto parts that wasn't a Napa on the island of Oahu. And I think like 3 weeks later I was gone.
Nice.
I sold everything that I couldn't carry with me. I shipped my golf clubs and my guitar and whatever I could fit in a bag and bought a one-way ticket and took off.
That's awesome.
So
This sounds like a pitch for like a TV show.
I think all kids should do it. Like I really encourage my kids. My son took off when he graduated.
Go somewhere.
Went and worked on the road.
Yeah.
Just to understand that there's a huge world outside of this valley.
Inside of this little bubble that we all live in.
And the blessing is also a curse because like you can get out of high school or drop out of high school and make great money on the national average. You know, you can have a home and a truck and all the toys and everything like that, but you never leave.
Yeah.
And some people don't want to. Some people
Right.
it's, they don't care that there's a world out there outside of here. I just wanted more than that. And
You wanted to experience something at least, yeah.
Right.
So how long were you in Hawaii?
Just a year. It was rough because I was renting a room from some family friends, and one income wasn't enough. Like I think I was super stoked because I made like $15 an hour or something like that. Well, in Hawaii in 2001, milk was like $6.
Wow.
I think gas was $4 or $5 a gallon. Like the cost of living there was so high.
$15 an hour didn't get very far.
So I took a second job at Chili's. So I just went to work waiting tables and bartending and stuff. And so it got to where my only day off was when I had to work one job.
That was your day off. Yeah.
And I think it got to where I hadn't been to the beach in like a month. And I was like, oh, I'm doing the exact same thing that I was doing at home. I'm just in paradise doing it. I'm not getting anywhere.
And you're not getting to really enjoy paradise either,
No.
It sounded like. I mean, you were working your
So it was
tail off
super fun,
anyways.
got all kinds of cool experiences. And then I moved back and lived in Tucson for a while. Then Texas. I actually met my ex-wife in Austin. My son was born in Austin. And then got involved in some real estate stuff in Central Texas. And then ended up moving back here in 2006 or 7.
What kind of real estate stuff?
Flipping houses.
Okay.
Yeah, we left Austin and moved to Waco because in Waco in 2005-ish, 2004, 2005, you could still buy houses in rougher neighborhoods for like $35,000. And you could put 50 in them and sell them for 120. But the thing that we did there that my mentors were doing and that kind of taught us to do was you would buy the house on hard money, flip it on hard money, then finance it into a regular loan, and then owner finance it to other people on like a lease purchase option.
Oh, okay.
And so it was a really cool idea because we would offer all the tools to get their credit fixed and make them home buyers. But we also took $5,000 or $8,000 down so that they had some commitment.
Right.
Isn't that what that real estate agent in Silver City kind of did?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You kill it because
he did it really well.
they have some vested
He had like a
interest.
portfolio of like 80 homes. It was
I think we
crazy.
had 3 before the partnership
Yeah.
fell apart. They always talk about what ship doesn't float. The only ship that doesn't float is partnership. And I was with all my best friends.
Yeah.
And it imploded.
So what you're saying is don't go into business with one of your best friends.
Yes. The odds are what's the Hunger Games? May the odds be in your favor.
Well,
It was learned a ton of lessons. There's a million things obviously I would have done different. All those relationships are restored all these years later.
Yeah.
But I'm a very like head down, get after it. We'll figure out the details later. And that will cause problems in the long run because I was always looking at the next flip.
yeah.
And they're like, wait, we got to figure out if we made money. We'll figure that out later. Like this house came up for sale. We need to buy it like right now. And it was always bigger. And I still suffer from that to this day because it was like I couldn't wait to get out of the neighborhood where it was easy because we're buying $35,000 houses and putting like 50 in them. Well, dude, like right down the road on the lake, I found this house that's 100. We could put 100 in it and sell it for like 4.
Yeah.
But
they were nervous to make that much of a...
that caused tension, but we did it. But it was more like I was dragging everybody along with me, so they weren't really willingly going. And then we got into that house. I didn't know anything about the fact in Central Texas it sits on tectonic plates. And so house leveling is a pretty normal thing there. Like you buy a house. It's actually gotten to the point now where I think in a lot of municipalities in Central Texas, it's a requirement. Like if you buy the house, you have to level it. So it's an automatic budget. You can't resell it.
Are they built on concrete foundations?
They're concrete foundations.
Really? Interesting.
So you talk about an expensive education, because with the pier and beam houses, they're super easy to level.
Right.
Dig a hole, crawl underneath them. They put lasers inside of them. They're done in like 5 hours.
Yeah.
And it's like $2,500. We buy this slab on grade, 3,500 square foot, 2-story house. The fireplace has to be downstacked a brick at a time.
Oh, wow.
Because it was cheaper to downstack it to level the house, because he said as soon as you level it, start moving it, the fireplace is going to just timber on over. Downstack the fire. It was insanity. And so that was kind of the beginning of the end of that relationship. I was super young, married, trying to figure out how to survive as far as like had a full-time job. I've always had this entrepreneur thing in me that I can't describe. It's just been there since I was a kid. And so always having to like hustle, always be hustling. But I had a regular job and relationships, and it was a mess. And I felt like I had failed in the venture, I guess, of flipping houses. And a buddy of mine was like, hey man, you just need to come back home. And they offered me a job at Southwest Energy.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm done dreaming. I'm done trying to make a name for myself. I'm just going to go get a job for a while and make good money. And because my ex-wife at the time, we still get along great, raise kids together. So, I mean, you could probably ask her. She'd give you a different version. But I think that she probably would have been fine if I'd have just slowed down a little bit, take a deep breath, rather than everything had to be just go,
Working on the next thing.
Right. We're on it. Let's go. And that wasn't in the cards, because I got here in February or March. And I think I'd been at Southwest like 3 months, and I got in a really bad accident. They like relocated the nerves in my
car accident.
An accident like in the mine
while you were working.
One of the trucks, the slurry trucks, air vacked me out of the mine. Like it was a mess. And I don't know if you've ever been on disability, but it's a nightmare, because they pay you like 60% of your salary, and it's only paid like once a month. And you're supposed to go to all the doctor's appointments, and they're trying to figure out why so what would happen was it got impacted and I flipped a truck. And so my whole left like arm would just go numb. And so I'm having to go to nerve doctors and all these things. And so I just said, never mind, and just went to work. So when I was in Texas, I was not big time, but I was the youngest area manager at Home Depot when I lived in Austin in retail, because I kind of had that background. And then I went to work for corporate America. I wasn't cut out for that either. I was good at like getting stuff done, so I moved up really quick, but I have a really hard time with wasted time. And in corporate Home Depot, once you get to salary, and I don't know what it is like these days, but Monday morning was a 5 a.m. meeting. Then Wednesday was a 3 p.m. meeting about all the things that you talked about on Monday. And I'm like, how in the world are we supposed to get any of these things we're talking about done?
If we're just talking about it. And then you had to work,
I think it was 1 weekend a month. I don't know. It just wasn't, it was wearing me out.
Yeah.
And again, the promotion that I was getting ready to get, I was talking about be careful what you wish for. It just wasn't my jam, because it was like I was going to make a bunch more money, but the requirement was insanity. Like it was 60 hours a week minimum.
Oh, wow.
You work 2 weekends a week minimum. I think it was like 2 months, you did a full 3-month night stint where you were the stocking manager. And my son's like 3 at the time. So I was like, yeah. Went to work for the install company, and that's kind of where I got my construction background, is we did doors and windows. And then got into flipping houses from understanding that. And then when all that kind of fell apart, we moved to Waco, and I kind of just felt like I needed to take a break, came out here, got in an accident, and then just went back to what I knew. I went and got the contracts I found a contractor here in town because I didn't have a license, rented his license, and then just drove to Tucson and got the window and door contracts for like Lowe's and Home Depot. And that's kind of how it all started for me.
So you were just installing their jobs, you know, whenever they sold windows or whatever you would.
So the way it would work is pretty much the same system for both. But it was funny because if the Lowe's install manager came by and you had orange Home Depot buckets on your job, you would get like cited, and you only got so many incidences, and then you got suspended, you know, whatever, because you're still a contractor for them. But it was the exact same if you were on a Home Depot job
and you had a Lowe's
had Lowe's buckets. So we had to like keep everything separate. But that was pretty good. And then that kind of just led to the construction. It was just kind of a natural path. I flipped some houses here in town, and it just got really hard to make any money, because about that time I feel like everybody watched Flip This House, Flip Your House,
everybody
Flip My
wanted
House,
to flip,
Flip Arizona, and all of a sudden the deals weren't there anymore. People were paying way too much for houses. And so we started with we cut our teeth. Jay's, I was a subcontractor for Jay's Construction, flipping their houses in Morenci, because my background really served me well, because I had a crew of guys, me and my dad, and we could turn houses faster than Jay's could, because I didn't have anything to do but turn houses. So we were turning 6 houses every 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Whoa, that's super fast.
It was kind of a well-oiled machine. It was fun because they would say, hey, you need to get more people. We want you billing more hours. So for every hour we were billing, we were making money.
Right.
And so that's how we kind of saved up enough money to get the license, the bond, the insurance, and everything. And then, as you know, with the mine, when it's over, it's over. And they gave us like a 30-day notice, and we're like, hey, you know, in November, we're going to a completely different system. You know, the houses are going to get bid out per house. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want anything to do with that. And I can't cover this payroll. So it was funny, though, because I thought we were big time, because we had like 20 or 30 grand in the bank. And I was like, well, me and Dad can just chill for a little while, because we just all, you know, everybody was from Morenci or around there. So everybody just kind of went to work for the mine, or went to work for Jay's or wherever.
Right.
But your taxes are 2 weeks or 2 months. Sorry. So when you're paying your taxes, it's 2 months behind.
Okay.
At least back then it was the way that we were doing it. So November, by the time January comes, we're out of money
because of the taxes.
We don't know what's going on. So I flipped some houses here in town, and then just kind of built from there. And then it's funny, though, because when I was flipping houses, all I could think about was like, man, if I could just get to building houses.
Yeah.
And then you get to building houses, and you're like, man, if I could just do like apartments. So it's the same thing. Well, I think I'm wired that way a little bit.
I think every entrepreneur is wired that way.
Yeah.
If you're not wired that way, you get complacent, and then you get irrelevant. I mean, if you're not growing and finding the next thing and getting better, somebody else is, and you'll be replaced.
And I'm used to being so busy that I get bored. My workload, I can handle a lot, and so I get bored really easy too. So that's kind of another struggle of like, what are we doing next?
Yeah.
And with interest rates as high as they are, my customs are a little bit slow. I mean, I've always got custom houses going, but I mean, at one point I would have 7 or 8 customs going at a time, plus some spec houses.
Yeah.
Now those numbers are way lower.
Things got crazy there for a while.
Yeah,
when,
it was
when
fun.
Everyone was building.
Well, I say it was fun. It was super stressful.
Yeah.
But looking back, I'm like, man, I wish we could be busy
It's
again.
always better to have more work than not enough.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'd rather be stressed by having too much work than stressed because I didn't know if I was going to be able to make my mortgage payment because I didn't have any work.
Yeah.
So.
And I had never done spec houses, and so now I do a little bit of spec houses. I don't love them just because it's a lot to keep track of with budgets and money coming and going and all those things. But yeah, I mean, I could tell you all the things not to do in business after being in business for, I think this is year 16.
I have a question. Since you've done both, I mean, what would you, if you had, in the perfect world, would you rather only focus on custom builds or only focus on spec homes?
I think there's space for both. I don't know. I prefer the custom because, and this is kind of where music ties in for me, I'm fascinated with the human condition when it comes to like songwriting. And so I always talk about, I don't really like people, like general population, not a fan, but I enjoy people at the same time. Like building, like my favorite part of a big custom build is all the design.
Yeah.
Like, hey, did you think about this? Did you think about that? And then being able to take somebody and go, they started with a phone call and then they move into like their dream home, that every I is dotted, every T is crossed, and everything is there for them.
Right.
Now, I make that sound like a Alice in Wonderland type beautiful thing. It's stressful.
There's a lot of headache involved.
There's
with
a
it.
ton of all of it. And sometimes we get done and people don't like me and I don't like them. And but I did change the way I was doing business about 5 or 6 years ago, and I downsized everything, got rid of almost everything, and then it was better for me to be a one-man show and just focus on what I'm really good at.
Yeah.
Or at least what I think I'm really good at.
Yeah.
I used to work for an old man when I was doing the windows and doors, and I would ask him, because people were constantly asking us while we were doing windows and doors, hey, can you remodel my bathroom? Hey, decks are really big in Texas. Hey, like, I want to do this big deck. And I kept telling, his name was John Sr., and I kept telling him, like, John, we could make so much money if we could, like, take on let's bring some other guys on. I'll manage them. We can do that. And he goes, no. He goes, you can be really good at one or two things. We're really good at doors and windows. You start adding things on, you're not good at anything. And I didn't believe that and had to learn it the hard way, because at one point I had just my personality, grow. So I had spray foam company, concrete company, the shop over there on 20th, trying to build how, like, is just too much. I was killing myself.
Yeah.
I feel like there's been a little bit of that in the construction world here, where some of the builders have started these other companies, and you see, like, as soon as they get too big for their britches, they
disappear.
They disappear. Exactly.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of I won't plug anybody in here. There's a couple of guys that I'm big fans of that I'm always trying to take them to lunch. You know, I want to kind of learn what their thought process is, because I do think that there's good things in what they do. I just was not cut out for, I am not an I daughter T crosser guy. I'm a get things done person. And I've had to learn that as very expensive lessons.
Yeah.
Like, I joke around, it's like I could have sent myself to 4 or 5 very expensive colleges for all the mistakes financially, for all the mistakes that I've made over the years.
Yeah, but then even if you did that, you probably wouldn't benefit you any more than the experience you got making those mistakes.
I think as I get older, I'm wanting to figure out how to share that knowledge because we're losing trades. But we need trades. And so I'm hoping that I figure out a way to kind of impart knowledge and guide some of these younger guys through this industry to where we get some of these younger guys back into trades. And
why do you think we're losing trades? Because that's something I've thought about a lot too.
In my opinion, I think because it's not trendy.
It's not the cool thing to do.
Well, now, if you ask any high school kid, for a couple of years, I was pushing really hard to get involved in the schools, because I wanted to work hand in hand with the school, where, like, maybe we have a class and where I take them out on job sites. And, like, that's the job, is like at least learning the nuts and bolts to how a house gets built.
Yeah.
Or stick them with a plumber or an electrician, so that they understand that. But right now, if you ask a high school kid, what do you want to be when you grow up? I would dare say 90% of them want to be influencers.
Which, of course they are, because that's all they're doing all day is watching TikTok and watching all these influencers.
I think the scary thing for me, because even as an adult, and it's weird because my worlds cross over, right? Because music only exists in that social media world now. And so that's a whole different ball game and whatever, but I kind of understand how it works. And there's just no reality in what kids see on TikTok and Instagram and
Yeah.
all these things, but they think that it is.
Because they're constantly
But,
staring
man,
at it. Yeah.
Like my son is he's a tech for Empire, does extremely well, and he's only 21.
Yeah.
Like there's a ton of money in trades, and I think there's more money in trades, even more money available, because there's so many people that just aren't. We're so short on.
Do you?
Go ahead.
I want to comment on. Do you know what is funny about like, just kids wanting to be influencers? Is I feel like the influencers or the people that become popular on TikTok or whatever, they become popular because they're good at something else, and then they turn that into
True.
Yeah.
Well, and what really frustrates.
I'm not advocating that somebody go and like want to be an influencer, but that's just what I've noticed. Is
Right.
Like the really interesting ones are good at something, and then they turn that into.
Well, and it always bums me out
content.
because I'll follow people on TikTok
Yeah.
that are really good at something, and because there's a ton to learn.
Yeah.
I wanted to get into Airbnb. When I sold the concrete company and closed the foam company down, I was just kind of bored, and so I was like, Airbnb, because that's what was all over TikTok. But I got a really decent education by diving into those people.
Well, you can learn a ton on TikTok and
Right.
YouTube. I mean,
But then you see people that built their following on being an expert at something, and now they're selling stuff.
yeah.
It's like, you can get this in the TikTok shop. It's linked down in my bio. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Sold out.
I can't stand salespeople. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to buy anything.
Yeah.
The point that I was going to make, I think it's interesting because I feel like this generation coming up, if you have, I don't want to say it's not easier than ever, but if you have someone that's willing to work hard now,
Yeah.
I feel like it's going to be easier for them to make a lot of money or make good money in a normal trade, because a lot of these kids aren't going to be willing to get out and work and get dirty and,
Yeah.
and put in that type of effort.
work ethic, and it would be a chip shot. I mean, for just being able to do really well.
Yeah.
I mean, plumbers, HVAC. I mean, we have those contractors in town. How small are we in this valley? And everybody's busy.
Yeah.
Like, I used to be able to. So the fastest I ever built a house pre-COVID, I think was 2015, maybe 2016. We built a house, break ground to certificate of occupancy for Jeff and Tiffany Fonts out there off of Pommel Road, off Swift Trail, in 74 days.
That's insane.
Now
awesome.
we're lucky to have drywall in 74 days.
Right.
You know, now that's when I was still doing a lot myself. So
You
it's
could
kinda
control
that-
a little bit of it.
It's
yeah.
funny. I look back on glory days, but I do remember that when I was the one physically doing cabinets, doors, trim, and trying to answer calls and manage everything, I'm like, I got to get away from my tools.
Yeah.
Now, most days, I'm like, man, it'd be so nice to just hook up to a trailer,
Go build something.
roll out all your tools, and just spend the day
Yeah.
doing something
Yeah.
with your hands.
Yeah. So where does music tie into everything?
Divorced dad, 28 years old, grew up in a super musical family, and had always had music, but never really taken it serious.
Uh-huh.
And decided to start playing guitar, and it just kind of took off on its own. There's a whole, we could go down a whole thing. I'll just, short version of it is we
However long you want it to be. Seriously.
it's we started playing, well, I mean, I guess we can just go all the way into everything.
Yeah.
So I went through a divorce and started playing guitar, and music was, this is going to sound super weird, but music was a great way for me to reconnect into, so let's back up to go to the divorce. When we were going through the divorce, we decided that we were going to do whatever it took to make sure that our kids were not collateral damage. And you've known my ex-wife since you were a kid, because we've known you since you were a kid at poker games and all that kind of stuff. And so you guys have watched us walk it out over the last 15 years raising kids together. And music was a way to just kind of bring that together. And there was a common thread and a way to kind of meet in the middle. And it just kind of took off on its own. We were in Flagstaff going to a show, And we always had guitars with us. And the owner came out and was like talking to us, and he goes, we were talking to him about the band that we were there to see. And I've always been interested in openers, because you've discovered new people through going to see someone that you already know, and then you're an opener.
Yeah.
And so I was like, who's opening? This is in Flagstaff. And he's like, nobody. It's Tuesday. It's a Tuesday in Flagstaff. And he's like, my budget's like $50. And so he like was opening up the bar, and they came back by, and I was like, well, we'll open. And he kind of like stopped and looked, and he's like, do you have guitars? I was like, we actually have them in the car. And he's like, go get your guitars and come in my office. And I had been playing guitar for like a year, maybe, if that. I mean, we're going to say play. I mean, I still tell people I don't play guitar. I bang on it and hope it sounds the way it's supposed to sound. So I take the guitars in there, and I open up TJ, my music, where both of us are in the band together. We started it together. I hand him his guitar real quick. He's been playing guitar since he could like walk. Like,
you start.
He's a crazy talented drum. Anything he touches, he can play. And so I hand him his guitar real quick. And so he starts playing, and I'm just slow. I mean, I did ridiculously slow taking my guitar out of the case. TJ plays a couple 30 seconds of a song, and the guy didn't have to hear me. He goes, yeah, that's awesome. What's your name? And I was like, we don't have a name, whatever. And so he's like, all right, you guys are opening. So I stumble through a few songs. Tej makes us sound way cooler than we are. I joke around, he still makes me sound way cooler than I am. And when we finished that night, he was like, you have a band? And we're like, no. He's like, I'll tell you what, if you'll get a band together and come up here, I'll give you a place to play. He goes, I've really enjoyed you guys. And so like 2-3 weeks go by, didn't really think twice about it. And he calls me, and so we're kind of in the middle of this. It's weird. We live in Arizona, but we're in the middle of a Texas music scene, Oklahoma independent music. Everybody loves to call it red dirt country. The labels drive me crazy, but it's just basically an independent music scene that kind of is hubbed out of Texas and Oklahoma. Not a whole lot of record labels, not a lot of fancy things that like, radio and stuff like that. And there's this guy named Robert Earl Keen that's kind of one of the godfathers of what we do. And he calls me, and he's like, he goes, do you have a band? Did you get a band together like I told you to? And before I could answer him, he goes, you guys want to open for Robert Earl Keen in a couple weeks? He goes, it's sold out. I can't pay you anything. He goes, but I'll put you up in the hotel that's like in the same parking lot, and I'll give you a bar tab.
Heck yeah.
And I was like, all right. And he goes, you got a band? And I'm like, yep. And so I go into
back to your moving quicker than you're ready. Yeah.
So
pays off though.
I go to the house, go to TJ's house, and I'm like, I got good news and I got bad news. And I was like, good news is we're opening for Robert Earl Keen, sold out in a couple of weeks. And he goes, dude, that's awesome. What's the bad news? And I'm like, I told him we have a band. Well, Tej is crazy talented, so he got picked up straight out of high school with a touring band. Like, they took him from Safford, and he went all over the country playing drums. And I don't know if he played guitar for the band, but, like, he's touring. Like,
he's experienced all that, yeah.
Crowds, sound systems. Yeah. I barely knew how to plug my guitar in, like, with the pedal board. Like, does it go on this side, and then this goes to the amp? Like, what's going on here? And then he grabbed Tad Jacobson, because Tad was one of his teachers, and Tad's been a drummer forever. And Brad Hemphill, I think that's his last name.
Yeah.
Same. We just found a couple of guys that we knew were old, that knew their stuff, and then we were going to be okay. I don't think I've ever sweated, if that's the word, so much in my life. It's wintertime. Yeah, it's wintertime. There's snow on the ground, and I'm sitting in front of the air conditioner at the hotel just dumping sweat. But that's kind of how it started.
So tell me real quick, what's the venue like that you were playing at? Is it
the
like
Museum Club?
Okay.
It's on what would be the old Route 66 up there. About 350, I think.
Okay.
But
so
just
that's
a
big crowd.
Just honky-tonk. Like, it's got a bar and a stage, and
you say if it's about 350?
Yeah.
So yeah, of course you're sweating. Out. I mean, never doing anything like that before. Right. I'd be sweating too.
And then sound check was a disaster because they took forever, and we didn't really get a sound check. And so everybody except me is like, just roll with it. It is what it is. We're used to this, and I'm just dying inside. But we got through that one, and then we kind of cut our teeth actually up in Flagstaff. These bigger bands that are kind of in our music world, which they're huge now. So like you would recognize Whiskey Myers, Turnpike Troubadours, Hayes Carl, Will Hogue. Will Hogue's the Chevy guy, the Like a Rock.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Bunch of people like that coming through, and we would open those shows.
That's so cool.
And so the deal.
Wait, so you opened for Whiskey Myers?
Mm-hmm.
That's so cool.
That's crazy.
They it was funny though, because the deal that he would make with us was that we could open for all these bands that we really admired, that we wanted to open for. It was always like weeknights, you know, whatever, or like it would be like a Friday night or a Saturday night, but the catch was whatever night it wasn't, we had to be the band the next night. And so when you're a band, if you guys ever go anywhere that just has like music, those are 3 or 4 hours of straight music. So it's usually 45 minutes to an hour, break, 45 minutes, break, it's a long
Lots of playing,
time.
yeah.
So the cutting the teeth part, that's where that came in, is we would get to have a blast one night, open for these bands that we really had no business opening for. And then where we really cut our teeth, though, was when we had to play 3 or 4 hours the next night.
Yeah. That was your practice.
It's funny. I always tell this story. There was a song that Jack Ingram put out. It was on the radio, probably early 2000s, called Barefoot and Crazy. And it's 2 chords. And Tad would always say, because he's kind of like the dad of the band back then, he's like, if they're on the dance floor, we keep them on the dance floor. And so we were playing Barefoot and Crazy. And I turned back and looked at him, and he's like, again, we played Barefoot and Crazy for like 25 minutes. The Barefoot and Crazy, like just over and over and over. So we cut our teeth there, and then that kind of moved into Scottsdale at the Rock Bar. And same thing, we would just open. We built all these relationships with people as they were coming through. And then things really started to take off musically in 2018, 2019. Through a friend of a friend, we ended up making our big record, Lucky Stars, at Dave Grohl's The Foo Fighters studio in California.
Oh, wow.
That's cool.
Okay.
So, like, Dave was there for a day. It was kind of cool hanging out with him.
So at what point, so your Lucky Stars, did you guys write those songs?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm guessing while you were doing, cutting your teeth and playing, did you kind of start throwing in your own
We started
music
as
every now and then?
songwriters.
Okay.
So it was always a matter of, like, cover our songs, cover our songs. And it's still tough to this day to figure out that balance.
Yeah.
Because for me, anyway, as a songwriter, when I write a song and I finish it, I'm kind of over it. I spent so much time with it. And then I'll connect with like a cover song. So I take that back. On Lucky Stars, there's a song on there, Hurricane. It's probably our biggest spun song. It's not our song. But I connected with that song.
Because you weren't tired of it.
Right. And so I connect with covers sometimes more than I do our songs. And so it's kind of always a balance. 2019 it's not a rocket ship compared to what things are today, but it was a rocket ship for us because, I mean, we debuted at like number 12 on iTunes when the record came out. I think that year we played main stage at Country Thunder, which was insanity.
Awesome, man.
Such a big...
Tell us about that a little bit. I've never been to Country Thunder, but I've heard about it, and I know it's a big deal.
For a couple of years, we played the side stage, and I was not impressed because, like, the first time we drove to Florence, we had an 11 o'clock spot, and the band's super big right now, but they weren't back then. There's a band called Old Dominion that have all these hits, right?
Yeah.
Pop country, don't love them, whatever it is. And I definitely don't love them to this day for this, but we're there, and they go over their set time like an hour. Like, they're just playing and playing, and it's starting to thunder, and then it starts to rain, and we get rained out. So we drive to Florence and don't get to play. And people, like, our friends were there, like all stoked to see us. Probably a handful of people, but it was still. So the next year we played, and then there was so much buzz around. So with Lucky Stars, we didn't really have the money to promote it. And so me being me, just kind of dove in and was like, I'll figure this out. And I did all the PR for that record myself, which was like another 40-hour-a-week job.
Right.
But it was also doable then. You didn't have playlists on Spotify. You didn't have TikTok. There were a lot of things that didn't exist that exist now. So I was able to do a lot of the PR and everything myself for us.
And what does that consist of? Like, how are you reaching out to
people? You're reaching
or?
out to radio stations.
Yeah.
You're reaching out to Bloggers were big back then,
Yeah.
music blogs, big Facebook pages. Hey man, we're putting this record out, and just constantly, just talking, just PR basically,
right.
and it worked to a degree. It's funny, this lady, she passed on us to be our to manage us. And then I sent her a screenshot of when we hit 12 on iTunes, and we're friends to this day. Because she's like, you did that by yourself.
That's
and
cool.
I'm like, wasn't going to take no for an answer.
That's
and
awesome.
We were taking every opportunity that we could. We played a ton. And then the offer came from Country Thunder, and it wasn't great. It's like 3 p.m. Like, we're one of the
It's
first
still
bands.
main stage though,
Yeah.
But
like,
it's main stage.
Yeah.
So you get there and you drive backstage, and we're in my truck and a trailer, and there's all these buses. And like, I drive by and Trace Atkins is like standing outside of his bus smoking a cigar or smoking a cigarette. And then like the stage is probably 8 foot taller than the top of my truck. And so I'm like, how are we getting our road cases up there? And they brought this machine and like lifted everything up. And so on stages that big, they call it Guitar World and Monitor World, because there's literally places that are bigger than this room that are where all the guitars are.
Yeah.
Like, I had my own monitor guy. Like, his only job was to make sure that my monitor mix was exactly the way that I wanted it.
That's cool.
With those who don't know what monitors are, they're the things on stage that are giving you your voice. Like, basically, when you stand on stage, now there's a lot of in-ears, so I had in-ears in. But you decide what goes into those. So you need your vocal. Some people like a lot of their guitar. Some people want other things. But I had my own person. Like, each one of us had our own person.
Wow.
And the stage was huge.
Yeah.
Like, I could throw a rock and hit TJ because he's in the middle and, like, I'm on to the right. So that was a really cool experience. We got put on some bigger music festivals. We went down and played a deal in Key West for one of our songwriting, I guess you call him like a songwriting hero. We played a tribute to him, but he's like in the crowd. It's this
cool.
really cool theater.
Yeah.
We played there's a music festival in Steamboat Springs, Colorado. We technically played it 3 years, but that COVID year, they canceled it. So we played the year before, COVID canceled, and then the year after. We're still playing music festival pretty regularly with Roger Klein and the Peacemakers down in Mexico every year.
Love those guys.
Yeah.
Man. I love them.
Well, holler at me. Come to a show. We played with them in Rialto a couple months ago.
I've been listening to those guys since they were the Refreshments.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, they still play all the Refreshment songs. So, and that's the kind of things that blow my mind. Like, they're the relationships that we've built with people. Like, we're with Roger and them Memorial Day weekend in
No
Pine
way.
Top for.
Where at?
It's a new venue. They're bringing in a stage. It's some
In Arizona or
in
Mexico?
in Sholo.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
no way.
Yeah.
I went to one of your shows up in Sholo once. Me, Trey, and Jacob. And
Yeah,
my
those
dad
were fun at the
That was a
Lions Den.
good time. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah,
That was
it's a good time. So we played with Roger in January. We played with him in February at the Rialto in Tucson. That's another really fun venue. And then we're with him in Memorial Day. And then I may do some solo stuff. That's another thing that kicked off because I wasn't busy enough. When COVID came, it just kind of killed everything.
Yeah.
And I just kind of took that time and started writing music with a bunch of different people via Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
Not a bunch, but a couple of different people. And so I wrote all through COVID by myself, where TJ and I had always written together. I wrote songs with other people. And so in 22, I made my own record, and that's what I just put out, was my own project.
That just how long ago did that drop? Just pretty recently, right?
Yeah, a month. I don't remember, a month ago?
About a month
something
ago.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so-
January, February.
And so with that one, that's your first solo.
That's just me.
Yeah, that one's
Right.
just you.
Yeah. And probably do a little bit of solo stuff here and there. There's a band that's a huge influence on us called Cross Canadian Ragweed. They broke up in 2010. They're doing a reunion show, not this weekend, but the next in Oklahoma. They sold 180,000 tickets.
Wow.
And they put us on the bill for, like, they have like outlying stages. So basically it's like a 4-day music festival. So we're going to go to the reunion show on Friday, and then we play in Stillwater on Saturday at like 3 in the afternoon.
Wow.
But it's just cool to be a part of something that's that big.
Yeah.
I went and flew out in November. There's a radio station in Dallas, or technically Fort Worth, and they're probably the biggest one for like the kind of music that we do, the Texas music. He heard one of my songs and had me come out and do his podcast and his radio show. And so I think that the wheels will start kind of rolling again for us between the stuff that I have going on and then us kind of getting busy again playing music. It's just different because pre-COVID, TJ's son was little. Tad was just a teacher.
Yeah.
And now Tad's a principal at the high school. TJ's son plays all the sports. He's 9 or 10 years old. TJ coaches all the sports.
That's what I love about your guys' band, too, is that you guys have, I mean, you've been on the main stage of Country Thunder, all these people. I mean, you're a successful band, but then you're all just got your own lives. Like, you're building houses. Tad's a principal. I love that.
Right.
Like, it's just cool.
It's a double-edged sword, though, because, like, we didn't get as big as we could have when the iron was hot because we couldn't take off.
Because, you had other commitments and responsibilities.
So you kind of balance. Yeah. It is what it is, you know. We're not quitting anything. I will probably tour a little bit more by myself now that Kylie's graduating. Like, next year she's going to be in college. Trevor's doing his own thing. I don't have near as many responsibilities as TJ does. Yeah. And we've built all these relationships. I'm friends with a ton of touring musicians that run all over the country. Right. And so I think I might do some like 1 week, 2 week. But I'm 44. I'm too old to sleep in a van seat and run all night. You know, we're getting ready to do that to go to Oklahoma this coming weekend because we can't take a bunch of time off, can't be gone. Right. So we'll leave Thursday after work. We'll drive all night. We'll get in Friday. We'll go to the show Friday night. We'll play Saturday. We'll come home Sunday.
Dude, how fun, though.
It is. Like, it's fun for, like, in a little
little spurts. Chunk, right? Can also get burnt out pretty quickly doing that.
We had some really cool stuff that COVID killed for us, and I just have to, like, make a point to not get bummed out about it. Like, South by Southwest, I don't know if you know what that is. It's a huge music festival in Austin. Yeah. We had this whole run, like, laid out and scheduled, and it was, like, overnight, it's just gone. Like, it's over. But we were in a weird spot to where we all still, like you said, we have our jobs. So all of our friends were trying to figure out how to make a living because the way that they fed their families overnight was gone. And so we just kind of rolled back into obscurity, if that makes sense, and just we went to work and
had to live. Had to take care of stuff.
We weren't on Facebook doing lives trying to get money because why crowd that when our friends really actually needed the money? Yeah, we did a couple of lives to like raise money for other people, but we just kind of let music sit for a couple of years, and so we're still kind of reeling from that. Like we did an EP. It was really fun because we did it at home on our studio. We brought a guy in. We wrote everything right on the spot, like as we did it. We were super proud of it. I don't think that whole record has like 2,000 spins. And it came out in 22, I think, really? Or something like that. Yeah. The game now is so depressing. That's why it took me so long to put my record out. I made it in December of 22. I put a single out in March of 23. It did pretty well. I think it's probably got like 50 or 60,000 spins over, which these days is nothing because, I mean, people have millions of monthly listeners.
It can go viral so fast.
So it's not much, but it's a lot for me. Yeah. And then I put another one out in July that I thought was a better song, and I bet to this day it's got 2,500 spins.
That's what's so hard about social media. I mean, it's a matter of it getting in front of people. It's the amount of spins, as you call it, it's not going to correlate directly to what's the better product. It's just
doesn't
for whatever
have anything
reason
to do with how good it is.
Yeah. It's almost like, I don't even know how to say it. It's like just if it happens, it happened. Like the right person has to find it, and then they share it. You know, it's so hard.
It's depressing because you talk to the management. Like I technically have a manager, like for my solo stuff, and we don't really talk about it anymore because it's like, hey man, I want to do this, I want to do that, and it's like, well, you've got to post every day. You need to be.
I was gonna ask you about that.
You need to be playing guitar. You need to be putting songs, like putting little clips up. You need to do this. So I did in November. We went in and I cut 3 songs acoustic, and I paid Vaho from here to come and film. And so hopefully he's almost done with that, and it'll kind of coincide with putting that music out. And this will be the first time that I'm gonna have music to go out that'll have reels and clips with it.
That's the way to advertise it. Because I was like,
I'm not gonna go sit down. I don't have time to. And I don't want to be all over my phone like hey, blah, 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 blah. Like, I feel like you're a salesman at that point.
Right.
And that's just not my jam.
Right.
So we'll see how this one does. And then we've decided that if the solo stuff, clip reel type stuff works, then we'll recreate it with the Coltrane stuff, in the studio, and try to have one thing that has changed is everything we do. Like, so I did my release party this weekend. I had a photographer. We played the Rialto. We had a photographer. Like, when we go with Roger anywhere, we have a photographer. Like, you have to have somebody catching pictures and then posting them pretty quick. Like, I did the photo dump today. I got the pictures this morning, and you got to do a photo dump and let people see what's going on. Yeah. So I've given up on making it because I feel like making it is so different for everybody. And I don't really, you flip back to construction, I don't really feel like I'm a success in construction in as far as being financially free, all these things. But then you look at the flip side of it, I've never missed a game. I've done whatever I wanted to do for all these years. Yep. So it's kind of the same thing in music for us. We play the shows that we want to play. We're not grinding these 3-hour, 4-hour soul-sucking gigs, that were your background music. We just play shows.
Yeah. Well, and I think the word success is very relative to, success is whatever you think it is. Right. And I agree. I feel like I'm successful because I can provide for my family and pretty much do whatever I want with them whenever the time thing, that's success to me. And I think that there's probably a ton of people out there that are looking at you and the Coltranes that are like, man, I would give anything to be where they're at right now. You know what I mean?
And you meet people like that have all the questions, and then it's kind of like a reality check of like, we've done some really cool stuff. We get to do some really cool things. And no, we're not touring. We don't have millions of monthly listeners. We're not making money playing music, but we also got to a point where it doesn't cost us money to make music and to go do these things. And so it's 6 of one, half does the other. It's like, what's successful to you, right? And then my personality naturally is like, what's next? Like, we're bigger, moving on. And then so the reality check of that as I've gotten older is like, well, no, I'm not financially free. Technically, I always joke and tell people that I'm not wealthy. I'm just financially irresponsible. Yeah. But I've never missed anything. Yeah. I've never been gone. The kids there's never been like, oh man, sorry, I had to work. I didn't. I coached all of Trev's football games, his t-ball. I was able to coach high school golf. I
was going to say you coached golf too, right?
That was so much fun. Yeah. And having the freedom to be able to go do that in the afternoons and go to tournaments and things like that. And we kind of just approached music the same way. When we were coming up, we had this gig. Tad had left the band. And it was funny because he was like, I've missed the birthdays and all the things, being on the road, playing music. I put myself through college. He goes, you guys are about to have to pay your dues, and I've already paid my dues. And so we got another drummer because we were getting busier. And but back then in our brain, making it was going and playing all the time everywhere. Right. And we had this gig in Douglas at the fair, the Cochise County Fair, and they hired us to play 3 hours or something like that. I don't remember. It was certain time. It was like 9 to 1 with like breaks or whatever. Well, we're like, screw that. We just won't take any breaks. We'll just play straight through and be done. So we didn't take any breaks. It's like midnight, and I tell the stage guy, pretty big stage, probably a little bit bigger than what we have here when we play the county fair here, but there's like stage guys, and I'm like, hey, we're about done. He goes, no, you're not. Your contract says you play till 1. And I was like, yeah, but that was like 3 sets with breaks. We didn't take any breaks. The contract says you play till 1. And so we're
taking our first break now.
We have no songs. Yeah. Tej can play anything. I don't know anything. And so that night the bass player quit. Oh man. The drummer was like, I'm not doing this anymore. And we're like, why are we doing this? Because everybody else told us we had to do it. And we found that when we stopped doing that and just started focusing on going and opening shows, like being the opener, or a ticketed show where it was like, you're coming to see a show. We're not background music. We're not anything. That's kind of when the world changed for us musically. Yeah. And you're playing 60 minutes.
Yeah.
90 minutes tops. It's fun.
Yeah.
Like, you're happy.
You're not burning yourself out. Yeah.
No. You can play, we don't, like, I always feel bad. I have to remind myself that that's some people's dream. They just want to play music.
Mm-hmm.
So for them to go play 4 hours and have somebody be like, play Freebird, play Chris Stapleton, all these things, they love that, right? They're living their dream. My dream was for people to connect and listen to my songs, not me playing someone else's songs.
Right.
So it goes kind of back to the thing with construction or work, life, whatever it is. It's what's your definition of success?
Yeah.
We just found that we found success or our definition of it when we started chasing what our definition was.
Yeah.
Because we were so tired of doing that if we never played music again, we were okay with it. Yeah.
Which, and then when it's not enjoyable, why even doing it?
Dude, those 4 hours, it's work. I mean, you're standing there, you got a guitar hanging around your neck, or if you're Tad, you're
right
banging drums and for hours.
Yeah.
And then your voice has to hold up. You got to remember all those songs and the chords, and it's wild. So as I get older, I just kind of finding my way, and we'll see what happens. I'd really like to get into some on the construction side of things, I'd really like to get into some multifamily stuff.
Mm-hmm.
My focus is changing over the last year from all I was trying to do was give my kids the best life possible, make the most memories, do the fun things, do all the things. Well, now, getting married in October, which is a big change.
Congratulations.
Thanks. But I've been married for this 15 years, I think. So like 15, 16 years.
Yeah.
So it's a big change. But I've done that. So the goal was provide the life, make the memories. Well, now what is it?
Yeah.
Because there's a weird lull right now between when grandkids show up and my kids are busy and they're grown. And so it's kind of figuring out what that looks like now, I guess.
Yeah. That's interesting. Got to kind of relearn how to do life and what life means whenever the kids are gone.
It's a weird thing. Like the year Trevor graduated, I was so sad all year. Everything was because I knew he was going to leave. I raised him that way. Like, we're like, yeah, go and do.
Yeah.
And so before he graduated, he had a job set up to where he was graduated. I think he was here for like a week and he's out.
Yeah.
And so I'm just moping and sad and like.
Is he still gone, or did he come back?
No, he did a year and a half, 2 years on the road. He got a job with a company where they replaced and refurbished stained glass in old buildings. Well, nothing in the western half of the United States is old.
Yeah.
So all of his work was on the East Coast.
What a cool way to see that side of the country.
He worked all around like Lake Michigan. I'm going to screw it up, but like Lake Michigan, I think. He was in Detroit. He was all the older part of Wisconsin.
Yeah.
But he did that for a while. And then we played the fair. And we had some friends through music. We had met him. Well, you probably know him from poker. But some friends of ours would play poker. And so we kind of knew him through poker, but then through music. And we were at the fair. We played the fair, and then we had a party back at my house where we invited anybody who wanted to come back, and we just sat in my backyard around the fire pit and played songs. And they came, and their daughter came, and she was Trev's age. And Trevor was gone. I don't remember where he was. He's running around somewhere. But I watched this girl came in, and she sat in her mom's lap. Like, it was kind of cold. Had a blanket over her and her mom, and she sat in her mom's lap the whole night. She wasn't on her phone. She like just hung out. And I was like, man, that girl is the sweetest thing ever. We gotta hook Trevor up with her. Well, I mentioned it to her brothers and I mentioned it to her parents, and then like nothing really happened.
Her brother, can I tell you? Do you want to leave names out?
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Her brothers are David Brown and oh my gosh,
Davey and I call him Bubba.
Bubba, yeah, Davey and Bubba. Anyways, Braden. Yeah, I graduated with David, and
I mentioned
super
it.
cool
I
family.
mentioned it to them, and they were like, eh. They weren't rude, but it wasn't like, yeah, let's
their
do
sister,
it. Right?
Yeah, they probably
like
weren't
their
excited about
sister.
anybody. Yeah.
And she was dating somebody, and then summertime we were with Roger. They're huge Roger Cline fans,
Nice.
and so it's been cool to be able to take them, her parents and stuff. Like they're just with us now, so like backstage and like some cool experiences. But they came up to me in Pine Top and were like, hey, like, let's get our kids together. And I was like, well, he's on the road right now. I was like, but he'll be home in a month or so. And so we set him up on like a blind date, and they've been together ever since.
Wow.
So it's been so much fun. Like, it's one of those things like you hope that it just nothing ever changes.
Right.
Like, that it's just perfect because it's perfect.
That's
like
awesome.
right now they're fishing.
Yeah.
Like they're at Roosevelt fishing. So he was going to take another contract. I think they went on a couple of dates. He left to be gone again, and then he came back, and it was for the holidays, and they kept kicking his return date back. Like, hey, we're gonna go back out in December or January. So he went to work for Seth framing, and then ended up at Empire, and he's done really well at Empire.
That's awesome. That's why we've talked about this a few times.
Her name's Ryan. Ryan, I love you. We love you.
Ryan was a baby my senior year, I think. And I remember because Dave was senior with me. Right. And I remember all of a sudden he had this brand new baby sister. And it was just, I remember kind of seeing her grow because David, after graduation, right, you don't talk to everybody all the time, so like it'll be a little while and then I'll see, wait, that's your sister? Like, she just kept, every time I saw her she was like 2 feet bigger. Right. So she has no idea who I am, I guarantee you that. Right. But I know her family really well, and they're some of the best people on earth.
I loved Eric and Crystal, and then
it'll stop. It's good.
We realized that we've got, hey, our kids are like close to the same age.
Yeah.
And so it's been cool to like almost pick your in-laws, for lack of a better a better term, because like they have parties, we go there. They're always invite. They came to the release with us on Saturday night.
So how are you so close with Eric and Crystal before? Because I always thought that was kind of what brought you guys together.
I met Eric when Davey brought him to play poker.
Okay.
And then the band that's coming back together that we're playing their reunion, Cross Canadian Ragweed, they were huge Ragweed fans. Okay. Like, traveled all over the place to see them.
Gotcha.
So we had that like common connection. And then we started playing music. They kind of came around after we'd been playing for a little while. And so we knew them from music. Yeah. Started with poker, knew them from music, and then all of a sudden,
I always kind of wondered what that.
I knew they had kids, but I just see this pretty little girl come and just sit in her mom's lap, and she wasn't on her phone. She wasn't. She just sweetest spirit. And I was like, man, if I could pick somebody for Trev, that's who I'm picking. Awesome. And so they were like, yeah, let's make it happen. And so they went on a date, like a blind date actually. Like he went and picked her up, and it was funny though. The first time she was over at the house, I'm always asking about music. And so I was like, who's your favorite band? Like, what are you into? And she's like, kind of all like sheepish a little. She's like, would you be mad if it's not the Coltrane's? And I'm like, no, not at all. I don't want it to be the Coltrane's. Like,
that's hilarious.
Yeah, it's he went on her graduation cruise. She went on Kylie's it's just family now.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So they're talking about what marriage looks like down the road and what kids look like down the road, and so it's been cool to. But where I was going with that when I got way off track was I was so sad when Trev was a senior, because I was like, he's leaving. Yeah. It's like, I did all this to make all these memories just so they can leave. Right. Like, is this what this looks like? Right. I know I made a post one time about I used to get so pissed off because the kids, I have a pool. We can't use the same towel. Like, we're going to get a new towel every time we go to the pool. I burned up like 2 dryers from washing and drying so many towels. And I posted this picture, and there's my couch is just piled full of towels. And I took the picture out of frustration however many years ago, and I sent it to their mom. And I'm like, these kids you can't use a towel more than once? And it hit me. I was like, I'd give anything to have a pile of towels now. Yeah. Right? Like,
people say that to me with my kids all the time. Like, you're gonna miss it one day. It's hard to imagine missing certain things,
right?
You know what I mean? But I get it.
I did a post about it. Like, I would give anything to have a pile of towels and kids all over the house and everything. And luckily they're still around. It's not like he's gone. It's been nice having him home. He bounces back and forth, and we've tried to talk him into not paying rent because it's so expensive right now. And he's in a financial position where if he waits a little while, he could build a duplex and do some things. So he kind of bounces between my house and his mom's house and Ryan's house, and she's going to school. And so it's really cool. I saw something, I kind of modified it a little bit, but I saw something, and basically hanging out with your adult kids is like hanging out with all the best parts of you and their mother, or the both of their parents. And it's so true. Like, it's really, really fun. But that transition, I was so sad. Like, because you're like, what is going on? I know it's different with Kylie, because Kylie is a senior, but now I know how it all works in the transition, and she's getting busy, and she's going to go to college and all the things. She wants to be a lawyer, so we got lots of school in front of us
Good
for that. So yeah, man, it's a wild, wild world. And then music, if you flip back over to music again, it's a young man's game. So I'm trying to find my place there, because a lot of my heroes are not. They're older guys that are still touring and playing music, so it's not impossible. I just don't know where it all fits, because you're not going to get me at 44, Tad's in his 50s, AJ's in his 50s, and TJ, which I think TJ's in his 30s still. Yeah, I think he's still in his 30s, but you're not going to cram us in a van. We have a van, but we're not getting in that van and driving it 20-something hours and sleeping on the benches. And like, these days, if I have a bad pillow in a hotel room, my neck hurts, my shoulders hurt. So when you say touring is a young man's game, it is definitely a young man's game.
You just gotta get you one of those buses, dude.
Dude, it's so expensive. Like the cost to run a bus right now is about $1,600 a day.
Oh my gosh.
That's just the fuel and the driver.
That's crazy.
That's not the payment. That's not the like, that's just what it costs to run it down the road. So if you think about that, and then you put 12 guys in it that all have to make a living and feed their families, I don't know how a lot of these guys are touring unless they're making enough money on streaming, which don't even get me started on the fractions of pennies that Spotify pays out. You know, it's like, I think it's $4,000 per million spins.
Oh wow.
Do you know what a million spins would pay if you were back in the radio days before Spotify? You would never have to work again. Like, that's
another interesting thing, because you always hear like how much easier it is to be discovered, or whatever, because you have a platform that you can put your stuff out, but it's also flooded with everybody now.
Now it's a playlist game, so these people everybody figures out how to monetize everything, right? It's like we were talking about TikTok. You find somebody you like, they're really good at creating something. Their whole goal is to figure out how to monetize their audience, right? So if I've got 1 million followers, now I can sell them anything I want, and I can make money. So the monetization for streaming has come through playlists. And so you get these people that curate these playlists, and now if I have a advertising budget and I put out a single for $4,000, I can pay, and this company will get it onto these big playlists, and then that's how you get discovered and how you get found. And you can even buy listeners, which is horrible, because now the companies, like promoters and people that own clubs and venues, they know how to go look at those statistics. But for a while, you could pay $1,000 and get 100,000 followers, but the 100,000 followers they're fake, and they can go look and see that they're all in like Germany or something random like that. So I
was gonna say, do you think like as far as getting traction with the music, do you think it helps by having people use your songs on videos, like reels and stuff?
So when Josiah, do you know the Countses? Jason and Maria. So when Josiah died, we went to write Lucky Stars in Texas, and for some reason, before I could write that record, I had to write a song about Josiah. And I never did anything with it, never told him about it. And then they did that movie, that thing, and that's me on the beginning of that. And when they came out with it, I was like, hey, I wrote this song. Do you guys want to use it? It was weird conversation, but I'm glad I did. So a little bit of pull from things like that. There's a whole nother part of the industry that you can submit your music to. And again, it costs money because you're paying somebody, but then they are kind of the gatekeeper to the movies and TV. And so you can, if you have songs that you think would be a good fit for TV shows or whatever, you can go. It's just money.
I'm just asking, like, what if somebody with 200,000 followers uses your song? Do you like have you experienced that, and have you seen any traction?
No, I haven't. Most of the time you'll see these kids go viral on TikTok, And what's wild is you'll see a group of kids go viral on TikTok, and then they get picked up onto the festival circuit, and their live shows are horrible because they've never, like us, they've never played. And they're being thrown because they're selling tickets. They're throwing it's a sink or swim type thing. It's been real interesting to see. Some of them, they get it figured out and get real good real quick, and other ones aren't able to maintain. Yes, they can sell tickets, but they can't keep people. Yeah. But they can make $1 bazillion on TikTok on engagement and spins and everything like that. But even the spin game, I mean, like I said, you'd have to have 1 million spins pays $4,000.
That's crazy.
So if you look at somebody that's got 10 million spins, which is just insanity, that paid him $40,000. And that didn't,
does it ramp up ever? Like once you get a real,
and that what's crazy is it didn't pay them $40,000. It paid $40,000. So if they have a publisher, like there's lots of hands in the cookie jar when it comes to music business.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because I can write a song, and if I wrote a song with somebody else, then now we have half of it. But when it goes to go out into the world, if you give it to a publisher to get it out for you, now the publisher has half. So now it's half of half. And then if the publisher, you know what I mean? It just goes like that. So it's just not a lot of money.
Fractional.
Yeah. I think we played Country Thunder main stage for free.
Yeah.
It was like, you don't get paid, but you get to play.
That's so cool, though. That, I mean, how many people can say they've done that?
Right.
So that's...
everything becomes so normal to us because we do it all the time. Like I was talking about, it's good to have a reality check every once in a while. Yeah. Of like, lots of people would love to do what you're getting paid a few bucks to do, or whatever.
A lot of people would pay to go play on a Country Thunder stage. Yeah.
Right.
Can I throw a hypothetical at you?
Yeah, go ahead.
If you guys had a hit just go mega viral, on TikTok, whatever, and it just, would you, how do I want to ask this? I've been thinking about this for a minute. Would you entertain
going full
force?
I think that at our age, I think we're not smart enough, but probably savvy enough to figure out how to make it work for all of us. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, if something were to explode, you would fly in and fly out for shows and stuff like that and figure out how to make it work. Definitely wouldn't be like, nah, I'm not interested. But I also wouldn't just pick up from life and jam out. We'd figure out how to make it work.
Is the band pretty supportive of you doing your solo stuff?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because Tej was in a space where COVID happened. He was so busy raising Cody. His son's name's Cody. Because he wanted to coach everything and not miss 1 minute. And so it was really cool because my kids were older and busier. He just wanted to hang out with his son. And so it was really, that's kind of where I started writing, was just out of creative necessity. Like I needed to have an outlet, and he wasn't really in the space to do it because he's focused on his son. And then now I think I don't want to be a front man. So the Roger Klein thing's kind of cool because I'm opening one night with all of them backing me.
That's cool.
And then the Coltrane's opening one of the nights. Yeah. So I think some stuff like that'll start to kind of naturally happen. But yeah, no, there's no hard feelings. Like the release show we played Saturday night, Tej played piano and guitar for me. Tad played cajon for me. Our bass player played bass for me.
That's cool.
Yeah, there's not a...
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's not a crazy thing.
Can you tell me dream band you'd like to open for? If you haven't already.
Most of them have already come true.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's awesome. The wildest.
That's pretty cool, man.
Like,
how many people can say that?
Everybody that we looked up to, and they're not anybody like Whiskey Myers you'd recognize because they've blown up so big.
Yeah.
But like, if you watch Yellowstone, like Shane Smith and the Saints, but like some of those guys are friends now. Like I can text them or call them or whatever. There's a band from the 90s that was huge in the 90s called The Great Divide, and they have a song, Pour Me a Vacation. Like you'd probably recognize it if you heard it, but through some friends I met him, and then he's who I wrote with during COVID. Like I'll still text him, and like, so when we're going to play that reunion show in Stillwater, They sold out Oklahoma State Stadium 4 nights, Thursday,
Wow.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night. And then they're going to do another one in October in Waco, and they sold out Baylor State in like minutes.
Wow.
And so, but those are all, they're just people to me, like they're just friends. And so I guess that part's already happened. There's some people that I would like to meet. I don't know about open for them, but I'd like to meet them and visit with them. Stapleton would be one that I'd like to just visit with. That's about it, man. There's not a whole lot left to.
That's cool.
Do you think that your playlist, does it stay in that genre, or what's your
so it left that genre a long time ago.
Really?
Yeah, that's another whole crazy journey. That's, I maybe I can ask you guys this, because as music consumers, you meet people, and some people are just casual listeners.
Right.
They throw on the radio or Spotify and whatever. Other people are like really into music, but they've listened to the same genre of music. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm constantly like in this day and age where hundreds of thousands of songs are coming out every month. I'm constantly looking to be inspired and trying to find things that inspire me, that not push me, but that make me want to dig deeper, or I guess inspire would probably be the right. Yeah. So I mean, we're all over the place with music.
That's cool.
But yeah, like Trev was just at a Deftones concert in the mosh pit in Phoenix, and then at the same time, like we're all going this month to see Sturgill Simpson.
Yeah.
Like we're all over the place. I found this band I love right now that's called St. Paul and the Broken Bones, and it's like straight up just soul funk. And what floored me was I'm listening to it and I'm just assuming it's an old black guy, and then I finally see him on a Tiny Desk concert, and it's a special ed looking fat white dude that just has pipes for days.
You know Manchester Orchestra?
No.
Do you know that band? Anyways, that's a band that I've liked forever, and it's that same type of thing. Like the voice, you hear the voice, it sounds like you picture a super skinny, petite little dude, and then he's just big old guy, big beard. Like it's so funny when you put a face to a voice sometimes, and it's just not what you expect.
There is one person I get that I would want to open for, and I'm not good enough. He's probably the best songwriter I've ever heard. We discovered him in Raleigh. We went to a music festival, and or this band that we love. It was another really cool thing. Is like I would fall in love with these bands, and then we would end up opening for them and like getting to know them. And then I'd fall in love with another band, and then we would end up getting. So that's happened a bunch, which is cool. Really cool. But we were in Raleigh, North Carolina, at the Lincoln Theater, and we were there to see this band, and they had this guy opening, and the band that we were going to see, the lead singer all week or for the month was like, if you don't know who this guy is, you need to look him up. His name's John Moreland. And we're in this theater. It's like 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. It's early, and they're rowdy. Like it's sold out. People are drinking. It's really loud, and all that's on stage is a chair with a guitar leaning against it, like an acoustic guitar. And I was like, if anybody thinks that they're going to come sit down with just a guitar in front of this crowd and get any kind of response, they've lost their mind. And then he comes out, and he's probably 500 pounds. Huge dude. He sits down in a chair. I still get goosebumps talking about it. But he sits down in a chair. He picks up an acoustic guitar, and you could hear a pin drop for 45 minutes.
What's his name?
John Moreland.
John Moreland. Huh.
And it just, like, you could feel everything that he's saying. And, like, the people would clap between.
Right.
But, I mean, just...
They were into the music.
Dead silent.
Yeah.
So, and I've been to see him, and I've talked to him a couple times. And he played in Phoenix, and there was, like, 12 or 13 of us there. And I met him outside, and I was like, man... you inspire me and piss me off all at the same time. He just kind of looked at me. He's like, my bad.
Yeah.
So he's one that I'd like to open for, that I just don't have the songwriting chops that he does. I discovered him on Sons of Anarchy.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the soundtracks.
Yeah.
But I'm constantly listening for stuff that grabs me.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really matter what kind of music it is.
Yeah.
I don't love like mariachi, like Spanish music, just because I can't understand it. I don't know what words.
You like the story of the song and the
I want to hear the
lyrics,
stories.
Yeah.
And the words, or just move me like deep down inside, just grab me. That's the kind of stuff that I look for.
Yeah, that's cool.
I know I've talked about this on the podcast before, but when you were telling that John Moreland story, and it reminded me, I went to a Killers concert one time.
Dude.
I love the Killers. And this band,
no cameras.
Yeah. This band opened for him, never heard of him before, didn't know anything about him. And this guy comes out and he has like the biggest Freddie Mercury personality and pipes, and I was like, what is going on? And then Brandon Flowers comes out at the end of his set and they start singing Johnny Be Good together.
Nice.
And it was like,
who was it? Do you know?
So the band's name is The Struts, and since then they've become
they're awesome.
And what was so cool is that concert was in the Marquee, so it's not a huge venue.
No.
Dude, that's such a cool venue, though.
It's such a cool venue.
We played it in July with Uncle Cracker.
That's awesome, way. That's cool.
It was wild.
How many people you think fit in there? 500-600?
No, I think cap on Marquee is probably like 1250 with the so that you'll find in music venues. So what happens is one company will own from a 150 one cap so like the same. They don't own it, but they book it. So like the Van Buren, which holds 5,000, that will go all the way down. So you go from Van Buren to the Crescent Ballroom, which is like 500 or 600, and then from the Crescent Ballroom you go down to the Valley Bar, which is like 150. And so these venues conglomerates will own so that they can take an act. Say you come into Phoenix, you sell out the Valley Bar a couple times. Well, next time you're going to go to the Crescent.
Yeah.
And then you sell out the Crescent a couple times, and next time you're going to go. We've been able to play the Van Buren, but not the official stage of Van Buren, because Roger Klein did like a Cinco de Mayo thing, and they had a separate stage set up in the front. So we've played the Van Buren, but not that's still a goal. We want to do the Van Buren. Yeah. Play the Marquee. The Crescent Ballroom is amazing.
Yeah.
What's really cool with those special rooms is the sound is incredible, because that's all that they do. Like whoever's running sound at the Crescent Ballroom or the Marquee, they do that every night, all year round.
Yeah.
You're dialed in.
One of my favorite concerts ever. And I feel like it's always when the bigger bands play these smaller rooms, it becomes such a more special experience. But one of my favorite concerts ever was Jimmy Eat World in the Crescent Ballroom.
Hell yeah, dude. That's
so
amazing.
Much fun.
So Crescent Ballroom, like to the gills, is 550.
Yeah.
And it's a special place, man. We've played it a few times. It's beautiful. It's so much fun.
Yeah. So here's what's cool about Shane. I always I'm proud of myself whenever I know about a band before they make it big. So like the band Fun. Yeah. You know Fun.
I don't.
So it used to be the Format, but now it's Fun. And anyways, they played. I followed them all these smaller venues.
Arizona band.
Yeah, Arizona band.
Sweet.
And then they had that. You've heard the song We Are Young.
Yeah.
So that's Fun, but. They that song got big and then they got super popular. So I'm proud of myself when I know about a band before everybody else. Shane opens for them before they make it big.
It's been I love discovering music as much as anything else, and then finding people, and it's been really cool. I think all but 2 of my like huge songwriting influences I've played with, opened for, and also been able to be like, I'm not going to fanboy on you, and one of these days I'll be able to tell you how much you mean to me musically, but for now I'm just going to say thanks and give you a hug and move awesome. On. So the band I was talking about that we went to Raleigh to see, we played for them, we opened for them and stuff. Well, we wrote a song about the first time that we went to this road trip to Raleigh, and it's on the record. It's called Carolina. And
which record? Sorry,
Lucky Stars.
Okay.
And so the guy, his name's BJ. He's the lead singer of this band called American Aquarium. And the poor guy, when Lucky Stars came out, they wouldn't leave him alone. They kept tagging him and blowing him up. And he already knew us. We had opened for him a couple times. And the first time we played Music Fest in Steamboat, I ran into him in the hallway, and he goes, I went to see you guys at the Grand Ballroom, which is like one of the venues in the festival. And he goes, I walk in, and of course you're playing Carolina. Like, kind of annoyed by the whole thing. But my buddy has a picture of us playing a different venue the next time at the festival. We opened for them, and we're playing Carolina, and he's standing like in the doorway behind me, just watching me.
Oh, that's cool.
So he's got a picture of
That's
that.
cool.
So there's a million of those kind of things that it's been nice talking to you guys about it, because it's almost like a refresher of like, yeah, dude, you need to be more grateful.
Heck yeah, man. I really enjoyed the conversation. You're one of the best examples I think that we've had on so far of someone, just your story's awesome.
Thanks.
I mean, the fact that you were just like, yeah, we got a band, we'll be there. And then that turned into, to this, and now your own album. And which, by the way, tell us, what's the best way to listen to your stuff?
Spotify, as sad as it is probably the easiest.
Mm-hmm.
Spotify or Apple Music.
Okay.
The bummer with Apple Music is they've gone to this monthly format where you have to pay monthly, and Spotify's still like $5 or $6.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, oh, Spotify doesn't pay you anything. Well, Apple doesn't either.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, every quarter I think we get a check for like $300 or $400. Like, it doesn't matter. Go listen to the music.
Yeah.
Right.
Go find it, share it. If something
What's your solo album called?
10 Square Miles.
10 Square Miles, that's right.
Yeah, it's just 7 songs. It was just kind of a conglomerate of things that meant a lot to me. Couple songs of friends, and then songs that I wrote with other people, wrote with friends and stuff like that. But yeah, it's been nice to recap stuff that I don't really think. Like, I don't sit around and think about all the cool things.
Yeah.
I'm very much a screw it, figure it out later person. And as you get older, sometimes the figured out later comes to get you.
Yeah.
And it's not fun.
Uh-huh.
And so you get caught up in that kind of stuff sometimes and forget how awesome things have been or are or anything like that. So yeah, I've been so not concerned, but worried musically of like us not being relevant and not having the buzz that we used to have and not having the momentum, that I don't give enough credit to all the stuff that we still get to do and all the fun things, because it's not, we don't have thousands and thousands of listeners. I think I got our stats from Spotify, and I think the Coltrane's had like 470 listeners last month, and I think I had like 140, which I mean, it's just nothing if you look at like overall, but it's crazy to think that 470 people tuned in, listened to a song or whatever.
Yeah.
But you'll watch Zaylee. I don't know if Zaylee's got anything on Spotify, but if she does, you're gonna watch her spins just skyrocket from just being in front of that many faces.
Yeah, I just because I'm curious to see. I went and looked how many views her episode had on our podcast, because she was episode number 7. So I was like, I'm gonna go look and see how many people have watched that full episode. It was like 119. The next day I went and it doubled already.
Right.
So I'm like, yeah, she's I'm excited for her.
Her name.
Yeah.
And one of my musical buddies has this great saying, and when our record came out and things were happening for us, he would always say that high tides raise all ships.
Yep, I love that saying.
Everybody around's gonna benefit from cool things.
Yep.
You get eyes on you and everything. It's just crazy to see the rocket ship that'll happen regardless of what happens with her on American Idol. We've played with people that were on American Idol at one point in time, know them, and the rocket ship that'll happen just from the eyes that have been on her, just from the few things that have happened so far. And it'll be crazy for her.
Yeah, I'm excited for her. Yeah.
It'll be interesting if her parents keep their jobs or not, or if they gotta. But she's technically grown. I mean, she could go do what she does.
I think she's 17?
I think she's 19.
Is she 19? Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
Yeah, it'll be fun to see what happens on it.
Yeah.
And I hope she goes far. I mean,
it'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, I hope she goes far and then doesn't make it.
Yeah.
Because when you get to the top 10, it's a contract.
Yeah.
And it is a soul-sucking, I think it's 4 years or maybe it's just a year, but they
like
own you.
tour together.
Well,
Yeah.
look at like Benson Boone. He did it right. Do you know who Benson Boone is?
I don't.
So he's
I haven't watched American Idol in so many years.
He's made it
popped
now.
off
He's
the last year and a half.
he's very popular now. He was an American Idol contestant and he just dropped out. I think he knew
you want to get to a certain point, and then whatever that point is where they own you, and I think it's the top 10 because you go on tour for a year and they own you.
Yeah.
And so like I know some of the older people, like what's his name, Scotty something.
McCreery.
Yeah, they weren't able to really start making a living or making any kind of traction until they were done with their American Idol contract. And so you just hope that they're still relevant.
I wonder if
Benson
Boone dropped out. I wonder if he did that strategically, knowing like I don't
got
want to go
enough
past this part.
faces and things on them.
Yeah.
Who knows how it all works? Whatever she wants to do is what I hope.
Yeah.
That works out for her. I've known Casey and her. Well, I've known her mom and dad since we were little kids. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, I know there's definitely a buzz around town about it. Everybody's talking about it, so it's cool.
Yeah, you're gonna have two famous people from here between her and Gaethje. You have their faces on Main Street.
Right. Well, yeah. Hopefully, Brant will paint a mural of Zaley next.
Start having people be like, man, what is this Safford place?
I know, right? Yeah.
That's super cool.
It is. It's fun seeing stories like this, and we really appreciate your time coming and telling us about it. Really enjoyed it.
My barber's in Scottsdale, so I only see him like every 4 to 6 weeks, and every time I'm in there, he's like, you know Justin Gaethje? I'm like, no, I don't know him personally. I was like, but I built 2 of his twin brothers' houses.
Right.
I was like, I've never hung out with the
see him
guy.
at the golf course every now and then.
But he's like, oh, Gaethje, like he just wants to talk about he loves fights, right? UFC. So every time I sit down, it's like an hour of just him asking me Gaethje questions and me being like, I don't know him. Like I don't.
It's still a big. I mean, there's still a lot of people in town.
Right.
Yeah. It's smaller, but
yeah. So I'm sure. Hopefully he doesn't love American Idol, or every time I go from now on, it'll be Gaethje and Zaley asking me all the questions about Gaethje and Zaley. But yeah, I'm super stoked for it, man. It's insane to think about how many people go try out just to get to sing in front of someone. Because I've got friends that have gone through the process and don't ever even get in front of a television camera.
Really?
Multiple times.
Yeah. And they're probably super talented too.
Same thing with The Voice. Like, people get on The Voice and they go through so much just to even get on the stage in the first place.
Right.
And for her to make it and then make it again.
Yeah.
I haven't figured out if it's like live or if all this was recorded and she's just an NDA and has to sit at home and be quiet.
I haven't figured that out yet either.
So.
Yeah. I've been wondering that same thing. Yeah. But
while we're sitting here, congrats on the new venture.
Oh, thank
Glad
you.
to see you guys out on your own and
it's
doing your thing.
It's exciting. We've enjoyed being able to, kind of run things how we want to run them.
Yeah, buddy.
We found a company to back us that allows us to do that. That was one of the main things that we wanted to make sure, when we chose a company that it wasn't going to be just
you get to run the show.
Yeah, you guys are going to do what we tell you. We were able to bring over our team with us. We should be moving into our office
pretty soon.
I mean, we should have the keys by the end of next week.
What office? Where'd you guys land?
We're, where Hamblin Dermatology is, that new building in Home Depot parking lot. So we're in that building.
Okay.
So we're the middle unit of that building.
New location.
Great location. So things are going really good, and it's been good.
I don't see any relief. I mean, I've got some big stuff in the works that's coming up as far as construction goes, but I don't see us satisfying the home shortage that we have anytime soon.
Yeah, me either. I think that we're lucky to be in an industry that I feel like there's always going to be a need.
Yeah,
that's people are always going to need somewhere to live.
Security.
And so.
The only thing that would drive me crazy is like with y'all, it's like it drives me crazy, and I'm not even in the business, listening to people try to tell you what interest rates are going to do.
Yeah.
Oh, when so-and-so gets in office, this interest rates are just going to fly down. And it's like, well, did you not take economics, or do you not understand how economics work?
And it's amazing how many experts there are out there now, because constantly I saw online, and
if I hear one more time that we're going to see, like, the Fed's going to drop the rates like 3% or 4%. Do you not understand how all that works?
It's I have taken the approach of, honestly, the rate just doesn't, I can't say it doesn't matter, but it's irrelevant as far as if you need a house, the rate doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like, buy the house, We'll figure it out.
I do wish we had more opportunities or I had the ability to provide like apartments and things like that, so that we had more rental options for kids. Like I've said it 100 times. I don't know how kids my son's age are supposed to survive. Like, he makes great money, and there is no way that he could, when I was his age, I could have a car and a house, and my wife worked, but we had a kid, and like the bills were paid. I don't think that they could do that now.
What's crazy is when I was in college, I was making $10 an hour, and I was thinking, I'm doing okay. I'm
right.
You know, and $10 an hour
is nothing.
Is nothing now. Like,
well, no, and how's he supposed to buy a house when a deal on a house is $385,000, $400,000?
Yeah, and then when they can even afford it monthly,
they can't afford
They can't afford the down payment. That
right.
you know, it's tough. I mean, and we've got some programs that help with that, but it is there's no getting around it. That it's harder to buy a house right now, probably than it ever has been.
Yeah.
And I think that's why he's about set on the fact that we're gonna do a duplex, and then probably a fourplex, and then he'll build his home.
Dude,
I tell myself all the time, if I could go back,
if I would have done that,
again, that is exactly what I would do.
If I knew then what I know now, I mean, FHA loan on a duplex, live on one side, 3.5% down.
Well, now what is it, like 6 months or 2 years? It's less than 2 years now.
What do you mean?
Like, he doesn't even have to live in it for
a year.
It's 1 year.
Yeah.
I would say it reduced.
You know what? And a year.
And just setting him up for, you know, all the things that I didn't know. That's our job, is to instill them into our kids and make sure they're educated. Now Kylie's going to be going to school for, like, she legit wants to be a lawyer. So she's got it figured out where she can get her bachelor's degree here, but then she's got to go to law school.
Nice.
So she's not going to be doing anything as far as like housing and jobs and all that. Who knows where she'll land.
Right.
But Ryan wants to be here close to home. That's one other thing I love about her family, is everybody's like, they're close. They're all around. They do things. And that's what she wants. That's what Trev wants.
Yeah.
So
that's
they'll
awesome.
figure out how to. But I was like, dude, I explained the duplex thing, and he had already learned about it from social media and like TikTok and like following different people. And we were talking about it, and it's like, yeah, man, do a duplex first, get that all nailed down, then do a fourplex, and then build. And his whole thing was like, I don't really want to build a house right away. I don't have any idea I've never lived in, like, I've only lived in this house. I don't know what I want.
Dude, I would argue do a duplex and then another duplex and then a fourplex and then another duplex. I mean, as long as until his family's getting too big to live in that. I mean, that's what I would have done if I.
And I've seen some guys do it, and I'm like, you're doing it right.
And they're setting themselves up for life.
Who did the duplexes on the really well done ones on Ray Lane?
Mitchell Goodman.
Yeah,
okay, that is Mitchell too. Huh?
Yeah.
That guy's, I don't even know him, and I'm super impressed.
Yeah.
Like,
he's kind of who I was talking about. I've watched him do that. He built single family, sold it, made some money, single family, then went into those duplexes. And
right.
Yeah. It's done.
There's a way to do it.
He was on the podcast.
Well, and Strive was just the reason Strive is so well is I talk about Safford, right? Like, everybody Safford's everything. And when I say Safford, it's like just half-assed, like whatever, just like, let's just get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they didn't do that. Like, it's done well.
Oh, he did Strive great. It's a great
think
gym.
that's one of the reasons why Frontier has done so well, is because they got out of that Safford mentality, and it's quality food, it's quality. Robin at Branding Iron, everybody loves Robin. I love Robin because the service and it's.
Hey, wait. Speaking of steakhouses, did you guys get got on? It's April Fool's Day today.
No, dude, I saw that. As soon as I saw the post, I knew it was.
No. I saw the sign. So there was a sign on 20th Avenue.
They actually put a sign out?
Yeah, there was a sign
I didn't see that.
Out in the dirt across from the movie theater that said Texas Roadhouse coming soon.
That's hilarious.
I called my wife and I was like, you'll never. And as soon as I started saying that, I was like, oh, somebody just got me.
I just saw the Facebook post. I didn't know someone put that.
I haven't been on social media much today, so the Texas Roadhouse, huh? Yeah, they don't have. So in the restaurant business, so Chili's will do half menu, or like airport Chili's, and they would put a half menu Chili's here if somebody would spend the money. Roadhouse doesn't have that concept. No. They don't have a half menu concept.
Yeah. It's funny how all these businesses have their, it has to be so big, or the area has to be so big. Like, one we always hear about is Chick-fil-A. But I guarantee you, Chick-fil-A would make so much freaking money here.
But you know the catch with Chick-fil-A, right? the people that own Chick-fil-A only make $250,000 a year. So to own a franchise, you have to have worked for Chick-fil-A for 10 years. So nobody here would have worked for Chick-fil-A for 10 years. And they get their percentage off the top, and then they get 50% of what's left after they've been paid. So the average income for someone who owns a Chick-fil-A is about the owner is about $250,000.
Really? Do you know what's awesome is I know you know this because you looked into it.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, when we moved here, I wanted a donut shop so bad. There's a donut shop in Texas called Shipley's.
Uh-huh.
Best donuts I've ever had. The closest to it would probably be the donut shop in Benson. Dark Sky's getting there. They're phenomenal for what they are. They're great. But I looked into that, and then there was a chicken place, like Chicken Fingers.
Uh-huh.
Super simple. Chicken Fingers, it's like Cane's, but it was long before Cane's ever started.
Uh-huh.
It's called Bush's Chicken. And it was chicken fingers, rolls, okra, corn, mac and cheese, mashed potatoes. That's it. Sweet tea, lemonade, like super basic.
Huh.
But same thing, like it was the requirements that they had for you to be a franchisee. I don't know how it would be 5 to 6 years before you make any money. Restaurant business is a tough one, man.
Yeah.
It's a beast.
I have no interest in owning a restaurant.
Well, my fiance's like, I'll have these ideas, and it's not an idea that I want to pursue. And she's like, why not? And I'm like, I'm not buying a job.
Yeah.
I have no interest. I got plenty of jobs.
Right.
I have no interest in owning any more jobs.
Yeah.
So, and then you and I talked about my last idea. We don't have to get into that.
Yeah.
He told me about that. Yeah.
But it's just the Safford version of but I'd like, again, go back to Mitchell. Like, I think that's how I strive. Hit profitability in record time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because a business like that could go so far the other direction.
He and I have
so
had
fast.
that conversation so many times, but I love how you call it Saffordized, because that's
here everybody's a survival mentality, right? So it's like, what do we have to do to get by? Okay, well, let's just throw it in here. And there's so many things that have come and gone. Like, for the longest time, I wanted to go find the guy that bought Frontier and be like, look, man, I came up in the restaurant business. Like, I was a corporate trainer for Chili's. Like, I know some things. There's 10 things that you could change right now and make a world of difference. Mm-hmm. And they've done it on their own. Like, he obviously knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Got good people.
I haven't been out there since it's been Frontier.
Sounds
like I need to go.
He's done a phenomenal job.
Pretty good.
I can't say enough about... Robin was always my go-to just because Branding Iron Food is always good. Mm-hmm. The service is always it's just consistent.
The venue's cool. I like sitting up there on the hill looking down the city.
Great.
Yeah.
And then I like to go see her. I invest into her business, and I feel like he's creating that with Frontier where people are buying into what he's doing because he's doing it right. He cares. Mm-hmm. You know, if something's wrong, they fix it. If he's constantly messing with the menu and drinks and good help and he's done everything. It's not easy. Good God, it's not easy. Yeah. But he's done a good job.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Well, dudes, thanks for having me.
Hey, yeah, man, thank you.
Time.
It was this is a record podcast. That means it was a good one. Yeah,
I appreciate it.
Sure. Sorry that the cameras.
All the subjects. I don't care about cameras.
Cameras went out, so but you gotta figure that out.
It's just me and my friends. Me and my friends. Me and my friends.
Cool. Thanks, Shane.
Thanks for having me, dude.
Like Gucci.